Hey, friends. Welcome back to Well. It's Laura, your host, and today we are talking about the impact your instructors have on building your brand. Whether you're a single studio in a small town or a large growing franchise, your instructors play a critical role in the client experience and the consistency of that experience at every single location. I brought on Shay Kostabi, who is a world-famous fitness instructor, one of the founders of Fitcarma, which is a brand and experience strategy firm. And Shay has done it all. She's been in front of classes everywhere. She's been behind the scenes with brands like Beachbody and P90X. She grew up in the fitness world in New York at a wild time when boutique fitness was exploding. And Shay knows how to turn strategy into repeatable, coachable experiences and sets a standard of excellence that is just next level. I can't wait for you to hear how she structures teacher trainings, finds those diamonds in your classroom that are going to be your next best teachers, and really helps pull all of that together to define an iconic brand. Hello, Shay. Thanks for being here with us.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here today.
I'm very excited to dig into this topic. It's been something
Me too.
Coming up all the time. And actually, just as we were kicking off, I was saying between Shay's husband is Barry, who I've also had on this podcast, and between the two of you, you guys kind of bookend the business aspect of fitness and have such beautiful correlation between, the two sides. And I can't wait for our listeners to hear your specialty. So yeah, I'd love to just kick off. I think it's always helpful to have a little context into, why you landed into this little niche of our fitness world and what shaped your path.
Yeah. I think first of all, I'm shocked every day that I'm here. If you interviewed my mom,
oh my gosh,
she would be like, I cannot believe you have a career in the fitness industry.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah, I grew up dancing and acting and really into the arts.
Mm-hmm.
I come from a family of artists, painters, famous
Wow.
musicians, photographers. My grandfather played he was like Prince. He played 23 instruments or something and made trumpets. And my grandmother was a master pianist. And then that was on my dad's side. And then my mom's side, my grandmother had her own she made stained glass and pottery and stuff. And so I just grew up in arts and culture and wanted to be a dancer. And then I wanted to be an actress. And I was never very athletic. I would have my dance teacher write me notes to get out of PE. I hate running. I still hate running.
Me too.
I've never really tried, if I'm honest. I mean, I have, but it's just not for me. And one summer, I think I was 26. I had a really rough summer. I was doing a show. My grandmother fell ill and I ended up dropping out of the production.
Wow.
And I was living in New York City. I dropped out of the production and moved back home to California for a month and moved into her house to care for her as she was dying. And that whole process was so hard. And then losing her was also really hard. She was my everything, my best friend, my soul sister. And so I fell into a really deep depression. I couldn't leave the house. I didn't have a job. I was living off of my inheritance. And one day I saw an ad in a trade paper, backstage, if you're in theater.
Oh gosh.
Looking for people for a fitness test group. And I don't know why. I was I need that.
That is crazy.
Work out every day with a celebrity trainer. Will feed you 5 meals a day. You'll get a 3-month gym membership to, it's now the Equinox in Rockefeller Center.
Okay.
I can't remember what it was at the time, Spectrum Club or something. And a gym membership I could never afford at that time. And I thought, okay, well, I can't even get out of the house and I don't know what to do with my life. So if these people can just tell me where to show up every day and maybe I'll be hot or something and I'll book a commercial. I just was I got to do something. I can't sit in this house anymore. And I just wanted to do something different. And I cried every day for the first 2 weeks. 30 seconds of jumping jacks just really winded me. I don't say this very often, but I was I was not abusing substances like to a dangerous point, but I was drinking a lot. I was smoking at the time. And truly 30 seconds of jumping jacks. Like I was just like, I don't know why people do this. This is awful.
Yeah.
But like a few weeks in, something like clicked. And I was like, okay, I'm really good at this. Duh.
Wow.
I mean, I grew up as a competitive dancer. And I definitely, so it was a weight loss test group. I could have, I guess you could say I could lose a few pounds, but I was not overweight by any means. A lot of the other people in the program made fun of me.
Oh, interesting.
For being there.
They were like, what are you doing here? Come on.
Truly. Okay. I mean, there were like chants they made up and stuff. It was pretty rough. And it was a weird time in fitness too. Like before and after images were a big thing.
Oh, right.
This was a test group for Beachbody, which, that was their
right.
goal.
That was huge.
Yes. So I think everybody else there was really fixated on the weight loss and getting a six-pack. And I really was just like, if I don't show up here, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life.
Survival for you.
Yeah. So I ended up like going from hiding in the back and like crying to like moving to the middle to moving to the front, as you do, and hanging out at the club all day and finally getting up the nerve to go try a group fitness class that was not my test group. Right. So I would show up every day at like from 2 to 3 to work out. And then I would like go hang out in the spa and I would wait around until 5 for the Zumba class to start. And I chickened out the first couple times. I was like, I can't go. Like it's dancing, it's fitness, it's weird. And then I finally one day I went, and I tell this story all the time. To me, it's just your typical fitness studio. Wood floors, white walls, mirrors. There's some windows on one side. In my mind, the lights are pink and purple and there's a disco ball and the instructor is like speaking straight to me, and I just, something like lit up and I was like, this is where it's at. Like, I want more of this.
Wow.
I want this to be a part of my life. I ended up one day, the celebrity trainer running the test group couldn't be there. And he was like, you could do it. And I was like, do what? He's like, get up on the stage and lead the workout. And I was like, and I did. And I was like, okay, I'm good at this too.
Yeah. Well, it's like actor. You can do anything.
It did feel a lot like playing a part.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'll just play the part of group fitness instructor and see how that works out.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I ended up being cast in the DVD. I was the only non-fitness professional in the DVD. Everybody else had been doing other programs on covers of magazines. I felt like a chicken wing. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing here. And I just got a huge following from that.
Wow.
And I started touring with that trainer. His name's Brett Hobel. He became my mentor. He offered me a job. I did all his billing. He was training like Victoria's Secret models and actors and stuff. And so I would call up, like James Van Der Beek and be like, can you pay your invoice? Or
oh my gosh, what a trip. Oh my goodness.
And like working out of a gym with like New York's like top elite fitness trainers. So watching them, and then running around town and taking classes and stuff. And I just was like, okay, I want to do this. And so I applied for a few places just to get like a front desk job. And it was so weird because I would go on these tours with Beachbody and like and be the assistant performer, essentially a backup dancer for these workouts with like 500 plus people. And then I would like go into the city at like 24-hour fitness and be like, can I answer your phones?
Yeah.
And they're like, no.
Oh my gosh. You couldn't get that job, but
so like I did end up working at 24-hour fitness. They gave me the 4 a.m. shift. So it was like really weird because I had this like huge social following like on Facebook. This is before Instagram. This is before anything we have today. And then just, I called SoulCycle. They're like, no.
Oh, wow.
Like, I got all my certifications and all that stuff. I ended up working at a tiny studio on the Upper East Side, a cycling studio. And I had never taken a cycling class before. And one day the owner came in and was like, if you're going to work here, you have to take a class. I'm like, I don't ride bikes. She's like, okay, well, you got to try. I took a class. I fell in love. A few weeks later, they're like, you should teach here. I was like, oh, no. I'll just mop the floors and answer the phone. It's fine. And they're like, no, come to the training. And then that was it. I was teaching.
Gosh,
And
it's so interesting. I can't tell you how many like really rock star teachers I've met that it just took that one person pulling them out
yeah,
of a class and saying, no, no, no,
yeah,
you should do
yeah,
this. And
yes,
it's just, it shows the power of how the instructor relationship and just being aware of who's in your
yeah,
classes is so
yeah.
important.
Yeah, we'll get into this later
Yeah.
because that really is like where your talent pool is.
Yes.
And I love sharing my story because I think the people that find group fitness in particular um, are searching for something
Mm-hmm.
like more. They think the workout, I get really emotional when I talk about this. They think the workout is going to fix their lives.
Mm,
They think that if they lose 10 pounds, they're going to feel better about themselves. Or they think it's like, oh yeah, they hear all the stuff in the media that's like, "Nah, I've got to improve my bone density and and age well," which is so true. All of that is so, so true. But that's not the thing that gets them hooked. That's not the thing that transforms their lives. The
right.
workout is the vehicle to something greater. And those people that show up, when you take time to see them, to not just learn their names, but know something about them
Mm,
and really pour everything you can into giving them the best hour of their day. Not only are you making like a huge impact on their lives that then has a ripple effect that you may never see,
yeah.
right? If I think about those first people that gave me an opportunity and how many lives I've touched because of that,
Oh, that's
you
so
know,
cool.
and that goes on, and how many people I've trained that now own studios or go on to do these incredible things. And those people in those rooms, like I think of like we're all connected in that way.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
And
beautiful.
and those are your stars because they understand what it feels like, the moments before you click the button or you show up for the class. It's just I can't tell you how many times I chickened out on stuff
Oh, yeah.
thinking like I couldn't possibly belong here or that feels too scary. Um and the courage that it takes to overcome
Right.
inertia and like bad programming,
Oh, God.
and life's challenges to show up there and just what's possible after that. So yeah, I started teaching and then at this tiny studio, and then the next part is I lost my job on Christmas Day 6 months later. Both SoulCycle and Flywheel were bidding on that location because they were
Oh,
growing. And so we were all like, where are we going to go? Are they going to take us? Are they going to put their own instructors in here? Like, where do we go after that? Um, there's like a lot of tension, a lot of drama every day. And Flywheel ended up winning the bid and they didn't take me.
oh.
So one of my clients gave me a job
Mm.
selling Lamborghini lamps on Madison Avenue. I mean, I was so miserable.
Oh,
I just needed a job to like figure out what to do. And I was like, selling lamps I was just so weird. They're like diffuser lamps or whatever, very expensive diffuser lamps. And then I called up Flywheel and I begged. I said, I get that you don't have a spot for me. I love this community. I need a job. I will do anything. They put me in the utility closet at the JCC. They
wow.
were We were sharing that space. It wasn't even their own studio. And I literally sprayed shoes and checked people in like over a sink
Oh, my
for
gosh.
months. And all my clients who previously came to my classes were like, what are you doing here?
Oh,
I
my
don't know.
gosh. Oh, my
Uh,
gosh.
and again, it's like I'm on DVDs, and
Yeah.
I'm traveling. And then outside, I'm like, why won't somebody give me a chance? So competitive, the New York
Yeah. Oh,
City
God. I
market.
can't even imagine. I mean, it's
Um,
like LA now trying to be the
yeah.
hottest Pilates teacher, right?
Yeah. And then they let me work the front desk at the Flatiron location, like
Oh,
the flagship. That was a big deal. And then I started doing the chalkboard wall, which I'm convinced I started that trend. Because again, art on
yeah.
my in
You
between
had,
hours, I started drawing on the walls, and then they hired me to go do that at all the other studios, and then everybody started making
oh, my
chalkboard walls.
gosh.
And then they launched a bar program, and they asked me to come in for one of the instructors' demo classes, and they're like, "You need to be teaching this."
Hmm.
And then that's where it really like that with my dance
Yeah.
background.
Yeah.
very shortly after that, I was on the creative team, and then I became a recruiter, and then I was like an East Coast manager of training, overseeing like 13 studios in Dubai. That's how I met Barry. I trained him to teach bar in Dubai, and had a whole career there, and eventually started making my own. I had my own DVD programs. I was live streaming, like on Yahoo and AOL,
early days of live stream.
Yeah, one of the first people live streaming, and other companies were asking me to consult, and I helped develop a resistance band product. I launched my own classes in New York City and like around the world, like all in Canada, and then New Balance called me and asked me to be their ambassador that year, which like sort of allowed me to make a leap into doing my own thing.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean,
and then from there, I just what became Fitcarma is like kind of evolved over the next.
I mean, you've seen
decade.
all angles of this business, and it gives a lot of context. Well, as you evolved through all of those different stages, were there certain brands? I mean, you guys at Fitcarma have such a focus on brand development, whether it's through the languaging and the marketing, or through the programming and the teachers. Were there brands that really inspired you as you were getting going?
Oh, yeah. I think being in New York City, like at the birth of a boutique fitness boom, the big ones, the household names that we in the industry and general public are most familiar with. SoulCycle was always an inspiration to me.
It still is to me. I mean, SoulCycle still to this day. I mean,
they
what they
have
do.
made the most perfect class program design. And a lot of what I teach and what I do today is very much in alignment. I'm always like, I kick myself. Flywheel was great, but it was more athletic, and the technology and all of that stuff. The bar program is really where I thrive. There, I did end up teaching cycle, but SoulCycle was like more kind of like my training. When you take the class, I could see, I knew exactly how they trained their instructors. And a Beachbody, I think, was really inspiring. They created a cult following.
For sure.
P90X, like being able to watch Tony, and talk with him, and some of those people that created those programs, was really, really inspiring. And the work that goes in behind the scenes to produce a Beachbody video. I mean,
wow.
You have no idea the amount of people that are involved in that, and the steps and the processes, and like the level of excellence and detail and commitment. Like, they're not just throwing up stuff. That is an incredible team of humans.
Well, I want to pause right there. When we think about studios today, and I mean, frankly, from what I see, what I experience, oftentimes there is very little quality control and standard of excellence. And just hearing you talk about that, that is what it takes to be an iconic brand. That
is what it takes.
That level of excellence.
And I think even a successful small business, like if you want to be doing this for a long time, and you can't forget, you have people's bodies and minds and like what they believe about themselves in your hands. That requires attention to detail and excellence and service and results and all of the things. So I feel really lucky that I started my career with Beachbody, and saw what was possible for a brand, for a personality, for an instructor. Like, the whole world was open to me. I was like, wow, this is just so incredible. And I think watching SoulCycle, Flywheel, I mean, we had incredible talent, but we also had incredible systems to support the trainers. Intensati was another one that really inspired me. Patricia Moreno was way ahead of her time. If you're not familiar, she passed away, I think during the pandemic. But Intensati was like this dance cardio fitness class where you chanted like motivational mantras for yourself.
Oh, cool. I'll have to look
and
that
on
up.
On the outside, it looked sort of corny. She had her own brand, but that it was at Equinox. And I think she really deeply influenced a lot of the way that I think about fitness today, because the class was so cool, but the class was a vehicle for becoming.
Yeah.
It's like a vehicle for potential. And what we know now, and she probably knew this, I didn't know at the time, but things like, saying affirmations and like what that does for you, or just chanting in a group, right? And the collective effervescence that creates, like this feeling of being connected to something greater to yourself, and then just like toning your vagus nerve, and like so many things. And then she would hold these weekend retreats with life coaches, like really taking like what you're doing in the classroom, like above and beyond into your life, and just created this whole community that was so supportive.
Gosh.
And
so ahead of her time. I have goosebumps thinking that was actually happening years.
Google Patricia Moreno. Okay. She is like a fitness icon. She is like one of our grandmothers.
I love it.
We should be writing books about her. She would have like these 30-day challenges, and you'd get like a bracelet every day you showed up, and like people are running around New York City with these warrior bands. Like you see somebody on the street and you're like, I'm on day 26. I mean, that kind of thing. Like being a part of something greater, right? Than just like going to your workout and ticking a box.
That is the thing humans are craving more than anything right now. And it's the fact that she was bringing that to the table so early is incredible.
Yeah.
So I'd love to pivot a little bit, just thinking about today's studios. So what we continue to hear, and frankly, what we hear also from the money side, the investment side of fitness, is the people are the problem. Like, it is a really challenging business to make profitable and to make predictable, because your instructor pool is very unpredictable. And it's hard to find great people. It's hard to keep great people, and it's very expensive to keep great people. So I know what you've done really successfully is help businesses build their own kind of in-house training programs, rather than relying on going out and recruiting from everywhere else. And I'd love to just tap into that a little bit and hear what it takes.
Yes. I love what you just said about how studio owners are feeling like it's a people problem. I just recorded a podcast last week on our podcast, the Fitcarma podcast, about this very issue, because it is something that is coming up, and not only at the place that I currently teach, but with a lot of my clients. In my experience, the people problems at the workplace stem from a systems problem and a leadership problem. Right? What you're saying, what you just said about like relying on other brands or entities to train your people, right? Really just think about that. Like expecting somebody else to do that work for you, right? And how they train that person is not necessarily how you would train that person or how you'd like them to show up in your business. Yes, there are standards that need to be met, and we should have certifications. The certifications are really there to make sure that you don't injure people, that you don't harm people, that you frankly don't kill someone, right? What is the science that you need to know? And then the what of the specific modality, right? Like, what is it that you're teaching? Those certifications don't necessarily teach you how, right? Or why, beyond like the basic necessities of like what you need to do to teach the class.
Makes sense.
So you need an in-house training anyway. I say this all the time. If you are a barista and you apply for a job at Starbucks, they're not just going to let you get, on like behind the counter. You have to go through Starbucks training on how to make a coffee at Starbucks, whether you like Starbucks coffee or not. Everybody there learns the same. Or like McDonald's, like the big names, like you said, like the iconic brands in and outside of the fitness industry have their own way of doing things. And the people problems stem from, like I said, lack of systems, lack of clarity, lack of leadership. allowing people to just kind of like, oh, you have your certification and like you got a big personality and I'll just put you on the schedule and let you do whatever you want. Then they start making their own choices because they're going to rely on previous training, previous habits, patterns, experiences, their point of view and their beliefs about how a class should be run or how you engage with clients or lack thereof. And then you start to see like, oh, that's not really how I want us to do that here. And then what happens is you start asking them, hey, can you please show up 15 minutes early? Can you please change this part of the class? Can you please do this? Show up? And they're like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
Because you already pay me and I've got people in the class and the skills required to be an instructor and like the responsibilities and all the things you have to do is a very, very long list. So like, don't give me anything else to do. This isn't broke, in my opinion. This is what I do. And then it's really, really hard to get that buy-in and to lead them. But that's because you didn't set yourself up and your brand and your team up for success from the beginning.
Yeah, it's very hard to backpedal and reestablish expectations.
It is so hard. It is so hard. And people, historically, I have been flown in to do that for brands.
Awful.
And there are some people who are very excited to be there. Like, thank you, Shay, for giving us a system and for leading us and reigniting our inspiration. And inevitably, there's 2 or 3 people that have been teaching there for, 10 years, or maybe they have more experience than I do. And they're like, who are you? I'm doing this. And I'm like, well, you're not going to have a job in a couple months. Okay. The studio is going to close. We have to figure this out. I've also been flown out. Thank goodness. This doesn't happen anymore. I always joke that I was like George Clooney in that movie.
Oh
where he
God,
was, like,
just to fire people. Yes.
I have had people fly me out to let people go. And I didn't know better at the time. I was like, it's a paycheck and I want to help.
Yeah.
It was just,
that sounds horrible.
I did it like 4 times and I was like, okay, I understand. I'm glad I did it because like I understood the issue and I understood why it was happening, and then I can help people better down the line.
Right, but take that off your like list of services you offer now.
You have to do it yourself, honey. Like you have to cut the dead weight. You have to cut the slack. And there are people problems. Like sometimes somebody tricks you. They show you their best at their audition interview, and then they get on the floor and you're like, wow, this is not what we need. That's always going to happen. But for the most part, it does really stem from the top. So to offer a little insight, the first thing that you need, which is what Barry does, is clarity on your brand and who you're for and what you stand for and what you're trying to accomplish. All of those things that sound so basic and cliche now are still vital to your business. Who are you? Who do you serve? What's your mission? Right? Like, what's your point of view? What are your core values? How do you do the thing that you do, and why? The why is so, so, so important. The why actually informs the how, not the what, right? The why informs the what. The why also informs the how.
Yeah.
So once you've done that work and you back it all the way up and you just go, okay, why did I want to open this business in the first place? Why did I choose this modality? What do I believe about it? How can it serve my people? What kind of people do I want to serve? And I'm not talking about like 18 to 30-year-olds, like the quality of the type of person, the challenges they face, the results that they're looking for,
the aspirations,
the desires, the aspiration, the identity, that's going to feel aligned. All of those things are so important for marketing, yes, for your clients, but also for your team. And I think that part gets skipped a lot. People assume that because your brand identity is clear on social media or on your website, that an instructor is going to walk in the door and just get it. And that is absolutely not true. They are going to interpret what they see the same way that your clients will, through their own lens, and make decisions about how they're going to sort of what's the word I'm looking for? Like how they're going to show up and offer that.
Right.
If you don't give them the direction, and inevitably, I see this happen all the time. So then you can have a team of rock star unicorn instructors. I mean, they could be so great, but if each one of them is operating off their own sort of vision, then your brand starts to like break down. There's no consistency. You lose client trust, right? Then you get high churn, all of those things. It stems from that.
Right. When you think about the predictability and consistency of a business, it really is rooted in a consistent experience for the clients. And it's not to say your teachers have to be robots, but there has to be a common thread. And
there absolutely must.
When there isn't, it really does. Like I can tell you as a consumer, and many of you guys, I'm sure listening to this who go to studios, so much of the time you are going just for a teacher. And if that teacher is not on the schedule, you won't go. And that's devastating for a company. You can't rely on that because a human can get sick, a human can move. All of the things can happen, and you can't let that be what determines whether or not people show up.
Yeah, and it's going to happen. It's going to happen regardless. Right. It just is. I won't go to my yoga class on Sundays if Eric's not there. I'm sorry. I just won't. Yeah. I tried a couple of times and the class experience was so different that I was like, I can't. However, if I had tried and that instructor offered something familiar, but in their own, like if I knew if there was a guaranteed outcome of generally how I was going to feel and like my expectations were met and maybe it was like slightly different style and personality, I would be like, okay, I can keep my Sunday routine. But every time was so wildly different that I just can't trust that. Right. And I know I still teach. When I show up as the sub, oh man, their faces fall so hard.
It's so disheartening.
Right. But all I can do, but like I teach a format that has a really strong system and a really strong structure. And I know that while my style, the music, the way that I work the room might be different, I know that they're going to get like the key things that make them feel comfortable when they leave. And I make sure that I offer that. And we're also led, right? We're taught how to step into a different space, and we're taught what needs to happen to ensure that the clients don't disappear and that they walk away. They might be sad to not see their instructor, but they're definitely going to get what they expected.
Right. Well, I think back, I mean, I have probably taught at, I don't know, 15 different yoga studios over the years. And I don't know that anybody's ever trained me on like if you're subbing a class or, you know, if you're stepping into a different time slot or taking on somebody's time slot, here are the common thread things that are really critical to making this a success. Or, you know, it's just the assumption is, okay, you know how to teach, you can make this successful, which is,
that's right.
I often think about how, just for example, in Wallow, we have all of these reports on teacher performance. And I think about, you know, like retention, if somebody comes to you for the first time, do they come back? If somebody comes to you for the first time, do they come back to you? Are you covering classes? What's your utilization rate? Like all of these different metrics that the business owner is trying to look at through a black and white lens. But the mistake that I see most businesses making is it's always the instructor's fault if any of those metrics are off. And there's not a lot of coaching other than, hey, make sure you post to your social media before you teach classes so that you can make sure people know you're teaching. You know, like that's not a business. That doesn't make a business a predictable, consistent, iconic brand of a business.
No, it doesn't. I love the Wallow reports, and they're so valuable, by the way. And I hear what you're saying. It's always, let's pull the instructor in and talk about like what they're doing wrong or what they're not doing, instead of what can we do to support you. One of the things that I like to work on with my clients is looking at utilization and class attendance and all of those things. And making sure that you're set up, that you're looking at those numbers regularly, and that you have, it's almost like a stoplight system, right? Numbers are good. Like you set goals, right? And they're different for every class time. like, and like you have your overall goals, but when you have a new instructor who's just on the schedule, you can't expect the same thing of them as somebody that's been on your schedule for years and years and years. You can't expect the same thing as like a 12 p.m., a brand new 12 p.m. time slot as like a 5:30 prime time. You can't always hold that same expectation. So setting goals, realistic goals, and then tracking those. And if you've got people in the green, you need to support them and celebrate them. Like, you don't just let them go. Like, hey, I want to let you know you're doing this well. You're like, let them know what's working so that they can keep doing that. And then talk to the people that are like in that yellow zone before it gets to the point where you start to feel stressed out and resentful and pointing fingers, right? Oh, no, we're seeing some of these things happen. And then you have like a collaborative meeting where you do a performance review and say, hey, I'm noticing these 3 things. I want to help you get out of this hole and get you back in the green, right? I don't want you to be in this red zone where we might have to pull your class or, move you to a different time slot or maybe pull you off the schedule. So let's work on this together. And then you set another goal. Like, we want to reach this by this time and we're going to do this to support you. And here's what you can do. Do you have any ideas? Like, it needs to be a 2-way conversation.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if something really tanks, really sitting down and going like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And what's happening?
Is this the right fit for you? Like, do you enjoy
this? Is this the right fit for you? Yeah. So, performance reviews are a big piece of like the sort of system that you pull your instructors through. But I think a lot of times they're one way, right? It's like, I'm going to review you and I'm going to critique you and I'm going to tell you what you need to do, instead of using it as an opportunity to acknowledge where your instructors are really crushing it. Right? Acknowledge that excellence, but then also prevent like slipping down, and then asking them questions.
Yeah.
Like leadership needs a performance review, right? It has to happen the other way around. I guarantee some of these studios, if you did like a quarterly review, if you sent a review out to your team, you're going to get answers as to like, you're going to see what's happening underneath and what's missing. And then that's your opportunity to be like, okay, I'm in the yellow here.
Yeah.
I need to make sure that we dial this up so that you don't lose really great talent and you don't lose your members, of course.
Okay. So that kind of feeds into thinking about how you can help studios create careers for their teachers rather than just like a job that you do for fun on the side. Now, I realize that not every studio can afford to do everything that a corporation might do. But it goes a long way to professionalize the conversation, to invest in training and education.
Yes.
Quick, I really do, before we wrap, want to go back to what we talked about earlier with finding those people.
Yes.
This is the biggest challenge. So when we're talking to studios and they're like, yeah, great, I would love to have a full teacher training. Like, that would be phenomenal. I'd love to make money on it. This would be awesome. How do I find the people? I've put it out there before and like I get 3 folks or 4 people and that's not enough.
The best instructors, particularly for smaller studios, really do come from in-house. I mean, it depends on your market. If you're in a place like Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, there's talent everywhere, and it's like sometimes the instructors are like, I can't find a job, then they're running around trying to find a place where they belong. I think in smaller markets, it becomes more challenging. I have a lot of clients that are in smaller markets that have now developed their own in-house training, and they're thriving and they're doing really well. And it does come from the community. So to answer you, there's like kind of 2 questions happening here. Back it up. Like, what do you need? Again, I think getting super clear, like just revisiting, who are we, right? What are we doing here? And then that leads to, what kind of person do we need to help us create this experience, like to serve our members? And that part is often skipped because it's sometimes hard to recruit and find people. You just go for like whoever's capable or whoever's already certified or already skilled. Skills can be trained. in-house. They can. They can be trained over time. Culture, character cannot be trained. You have to go for the type of person that you want to nurture and spend that time and money and energy training first. Like, it is way more important to find somebody who is aligned with your values, with your vision, who believes in what you're doing, who's coachable, who's adaptable, whether they're teaching 2 classes or 20 classes, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So figuring that piece out. And then from there, what are your recruiting funnels? How do you bring up somebody out of the community? How and where do you find the right type of people? Because they might not be in the fitness industry.
So do you task your teachers with, okay, this week I want everybody to find one person that's been coming to their class for a while and talk to them? Like, what are some ways that you can practically do that?
Yeah, I think as the owner or the studio manager or the lead instructor, have that person drop into classes and observe and like really be there and look around the room. Letting your instructors know that you are looking for someone and to keep their eye out, and just, maybe you got to plan ahead. Like, you can't just go up to somebody and be like, do you want to teach? But, for instance, I could go up to somebody in my class and just ask, do you teach? Have you ever taught before? Like, you have amazing form and you've got just such great energy. Oh, no. Have you ever thought about it? No. Okay. You plant a seed, and maybe come back like, hey, we're having a teacher training in a couple months. Like, I just want to let you know, like, think about it. I'd love to invite you. A lot of my clients in smaller markets will hold like workshops. Like, what does it take to be a teacher? Try the microphone on.
Oh my gosh, what a
and
good
like
idea.
try saying your name, right? And I develop those workshops for them. We work together on, again, what kind of person are you looking for? What skills do you want to see? What kind of qualities do you want to come out in this training? And let's create something that's going to help you find that. And then let's, what do you need to communicate to them? Like, what are the steps they need, right? Like, all of these things. Communication is huge.
Yeah.
Right. So having all of those systems, thinking ahead and planning for that. And then, right. Like, so then figuring out, like, what is our recruiting process like? What do we need to create to find the right people? Right. If, there's no people out there, there's people everywhere. You might need to create a system and a way of finding people. And we can get, if working with somebody that like can be more objective can really help, like sort of read the label from outside the bottle, as we like to say.
Yeah.
And just making it, you created your own business, you created your own brand. You can create your own way to train people. You can do it. And then that leads into like the audition interview process, and it needs to be specific to what you're looking for. And then, how you onboard them, and what does an orientation look like, and what does the training look like? And I can tell you, I've done hundreds and hundreds. It can be a 1-day training. It can be a weekend training. It can be a 3-month training or a 6-month training. You can have different tracks for different types of people. But I will say the really, really, really important piece is that every single person goes through the same steps, no matter where they came from, whether they've never taught before, whether they've been teaching for 2 years or 10 years or previously owned a studio.
Oh, wow.
I get this a lot. I found somebody that used to do their own thing, and I'm just going to put them on the schedule.
Right.
Like, okay, they used to do their own thing. They're not going to do the thing you want, the way you want them to do the thing. Anybody who has ever run a business or has been in a position of leadership is going to appreciate being led.
Yeah.
Because they understand the value of that. You can't skip those steps. How quickly you move through them can change. But like, everybody has to go through the same audition interview. Everybody has to go through the same onboarding steps. Everybody has to go through the same training. Everybody has to go through the same, whatever the steps are to release to floor. Like, what are the qualifications that get you there? And then what happens after that? What does the performance matrix look like? How are you running performance reviews? And then back to careers, how are you nurturing and developing your team over time? And this is the part that feels scary, because it's expensive and it's time consuming, and good people are hard to find.
Yeah.
Yes, that is true. So then what happens is the studio owner is like, well, I don't want to do that. I don't want to invest in that, because what if I give them all this valuable information, education, training, and they go off
and start their own thing?
Right. Well, that's because you are running a business that is completely fixated on the workout and you're competing with other people offering workouts instead of building a brand that has a culture that people are aligned with, where people grow, where people thrive. People don't move on from those spaces.
Yeah.
They stay for as long as they can. Some of them who have bigger aspirations will go off and create their own culture, which then can no longer compete with yours because it's theirs and it's their identity and it has nothing to do with the workout or the modality. And you should be proud that you were able to develop somebody to that level where they can then do that on their own. Like, don't forget you started your own business because you wanted to do it your own way. And there were people that helped you get there.
Yeah.
You didn't do it on your own. I know you didn't because I didn't.
Yeah.
And you probably didn't, right?
Didn't.
You cannot forget where you came from. Where you came from. You wanted to do this on your own. And you also run a business that helps people change their lives and become better humans, that helps them grow and evolve and chase their dreams and have the highest quality life. You should want that for your team as well. You have to walk your talk all the way up and down the ladder, right? You can't say, we change our clients' lives, but I'm not giving anything to my team because I don't want them to leave. Like, that's banana.
Wow, what a great point.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and we ask so much of our clients. We ask them to show up all the things I said at the beginning, to overcome that inertia and the self-consciousness and the fear of not fitting in. And then we make them pay to sweat and do crazy things for an hour.
to feel like they're going to puke sometimes and their legs are shaking. And exactly.
Your team deserves the same opportunity to grow and evolve, to be challenged, to become better. They deserve that. And if you're not giving that to them, I don't know how you expect them to give that to your clients.
Yeah. Wow. Good. That is a big look in the mirror statement there. I mean, I think there's just so much fear and scarcity mentality that it's a really hard mindset shift. But
it totally is. I get it. And
talk about just the energetic shift in that relationship if you are open to their growth and not just there to hoard the talent that you've developed, right?
Right. Like, be the leader that you need. Be the mentor. Be the person who motivates and inspires. Like, really think about that. I talk about this a lot with instructors, but I also talk about it with some of my clients. Like, think about your expanders, the people that you look up to, like what qualities they have, what makes you follow somebody, what makes you listen to somebody, what makes you put a credit card down on the table that says, please help me. You need to be that person. You must be that person. Right. And I've been doing this for a really long time. The places where I have been led, where the systems are really clear, and help create a foundation for me to be creative, to be present, to really feel confident in providing high quality service. I stayed with for a really long time. And if I didn't, it was for some other reason.
Right.
And I remember those people. It's in my bones. Intercontinental was a huge inspiration for me. I worked at a gym, at an Intercontinental gym. Or an Intercontinental hotel. So I had to go through IHG's training. 4 days.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I could tell you how many feet the building moves when the wind blows. I know everything about everything. I was so proud. I was so proud to work there, and to show up every day, and everything from, like, we were told, like, what happens when somebody comes out of the elevator, or like they're 10 feet away, or like how you help a client find a place, like, or not a client, how you help a guest get to a certain place that may not be your class. All of those things that really, like, created culture and camaraderie and pride in our work. I didn't have to do that. I could have just showed up to the gym and taught a class. But IHG, the gym was actually run by a different company. And the company's sort of ethos, I guess, was like, we have really high quality training, but we always defer to who has
IHG. Yeah.
the best.
Yep.
Because they operate in many different hotels.
Yep.
So if our training is better than that particular hotel, you go through our training. If the company that we're housed under has better training, you go through theirs. So I felt really lucky to go through that.
Well, and I keep thinking as you're talking about the loyalty to the individual, the mentor, the leader, the brand, whatever it might be, you are inevitably going to tell people about that experience, and you are inevitably going to refer people their way.
Yeah.
You're going to find there may be somebody who's not right. If you go off and start your own studio, there will be plenty of people who are not right for you, but they may be perfect for that other one. And you will always be loyal to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, so awesome. Gosh, this is just, I mean, I think so refreshing for so many studios to think about, just to flip the lens on how they're looking at their teams. And the expander word, I think, is such a key one. Like, you're an expander, they're expanders. How can you empower that?
Yeah. And it's a lot of work to set up. But the beautiful thing about like a system is that once you build it, right, that becomes this infrastructure, and it's not rigid, it's not solid. I build systems for my clients that are designed to evolve and grow. There's breathing space. What works now might not work forever, but it's gonna work for a while. And there's something there for you to work with. So you can say, 2 years in, this piece that we're doing doesn't really work in the market or in the world anymore. So how can we switch that? And then it's just like changing a little key, right? And then that comes all the way down the line. But if you don't have anything, you're making it up every single time. The messaging and the clarity that I'm talking about becomes really inconsistent, because what one group, I recently went through this, what one team of instructors that's brought on, they get a certain like sort of vibe and like certain information and education, and it's not written down, and the person's just showing up and like, this is what we need today. And then 6 months later, you bring on a new team and they're getting a completely different training. And now your members are like, why are those people doing this thing and this people doing this thing?
Yeah.
And then you're like, I want to grow.
Yeah.
And you're like, you can't.
Oh, well, gosh, I feel like this is just such a perfect call to action for studios. And I'm so grateful that you spent the time chatting with us today.
Thank you.
So if our folks want to find you, where should they go?
Okay. The first thing I'll say is, after you listen to this podcast, if you want to go deeper on all of these little things that I'm talking about, head over to the Fitcarma podcast on Spotify or Google Play, because I literally just put this episode out and I want to offer this to you as well. There's like a Studio Systems health check. It's a free download. So it's like some questions to ask yourself and some things to look at, and then a little bit of planning so you can figure out where those gaps are. Be really honest with yourself. There's a scoring system.
Awesome.
So that would give you a lot of insight into maybe what your next step is. And you don't have to do it all at once, right? Pick one thing. Start from there, and then just start making those small changes.
Okay.
So I would say definitely check out the Fitcarma podcast. It's FITCARMA. Head over to fitcarma.com, where you can learn more about what we do. You can book a fit call with us and see if we're a good fit to work together. Follow us on Instagram at FitcarmaHQ. You can also follow our sister account. It's called the Group X Conservatory, and that's like my online school.
Love it.
For instructors. And we talk a lot about experience design. It's a lot of the soft skills that help support instructors in all modalities. You could send your instructors there. You could enroll yourself. I have a lot of studio owners in the conservatory, actually. Where else can you go? Like, you just Google Fitcarma.
Yes, you will find all the
and
things.
You can
they
find
have
us.
So much great content, and I'm just so grateful that you spent the time with us today.
Yeah,
and
me too.
Gosh, guys,
we're big fans of Voila. You're in the right place if you're listening, if you're using their software. Like 10/10, 110 recommend.
Thank you.
I'm so happy to support your community. We know a lot of the same people. A lot of our clients are on Voila, and
so great.
Yeah, we just really we want to ultimately, we want more humans creating better humans.
Yes.
Like, ultimately, that's our mission.
Yes.
It's like, how can we develop
I love it.
people, brands, and leaders to inspire more people to live well and live their best lives? And how we do that is through the services that we provide by helping you. Because if we can help you, like I said, that ripple effect, the hundreds of people that come into your studio, and then the people that they talk to. And the last thing that I'll say is that please don't forget, Barry and I say this all the time, only like 20% of the US population is ever working out.
Yeah.
So when you say, like, where are the people? We're all talking to the same 20. And my question is, how much of that 20% are fitness professionals?
Yeah, I know.
Probably a lot. So it is hard to find. The talent pool is really small because we're all talking to each other. Do not be afraid to step out of this industry to find your next instructor, to find your next leader, and to like explore other areas where you can even find your members.
Yeah.
Because there's 80% of the population out there
Waiting.
that you can still reach.
Yep. Oh,
there's enough for everyone.
Yes.
There's more than enough for everyone.
Great message to end on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And guys, we will see you next time on Well, Well, Well.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.